I'm Ron Trevino. Great to have you with us tonight. Texas Senate Bill 7 is now just one step away from final passage and could soon be heading to the governor's desk. It passed the Senate early this morning after a marathon debate overnight. The bill will bring a wave of new voting restrictions and changes to elections across Texas. Here's Marcelino Benito.
Ron, the bill passed the Senate strictly along party lines, that vote happening early this morning, and today at some point the House also expected to pass the bill. Now, the sweeping voting bill was negotiated behind closed doors. It doubled in length and now includes voting law changes that weren't previously being considered. Democrats accuse Republicans of shortening the time they had to review the bill before debate and taking up a vote. The GOP's priority voting bill touches nearly the entire voting process. That includes limiting early voting hours, tightening voting by mail, including new voter ID measures for those mail-in ballots. A lot of the changes would have significant impacts on many of the voting opportunities thousands of Texans took advantage of in Harris County last November. Texas Democrats call the legislation Jim Crow 2.0.
This is a state of emergency for democracy in Texas. If Senate Bill 7 becomes law, it's going to make it so much harder for everyday people in Texas to cast their ballot, especially communities of color.
SB 7's main author, Republican Senator Brian Hughes, spent hours answering Democrats' questions. He says the voting restrictions in his bill are, quote, common sense and will standardize best voting practices across the state of Texas. Now, the last day of this legislative session is tomorrow, so the clock is ticking for lawmakers. Again, the House is expected to pass the bill later today, and the governor has indicated if it passes and ends up on his desk, he is prepared to sign it.